How long did you do in there?
I did 5 years.
So you probably seen like new recruits start, like the COs.
Yeah, I've seen with the real rap group that me and Matthew Garcia that he founded, created, and me coming home being the youth liaison for. We had always had the rookies come in. Like that was one of the like it became a thing at our jail, right? Where the rookies before they even become CEOs or anything, even anything that you were coming into jail to do, you had to come to real rap first. You had to sit down face to face across from Matthew Garcia, and you had to let it all out. It was something beautiful that the prison, somebody named Miss, in the prison, the training lieutenant there, he loved what we were doing in the prisons. He loved the program that Matthew Garcia created, right? And he just thought that, you know what, other CEOs before they become CEOs, any staff member before they become a staff member in the prison need to know that not everybody thinks the same. That there are people every day fighting for the opportunity to get out and that are literally working on transferable skills, working on future goals and aspirations that I feel like so many other people nowadays, in prison, it is so hard to think like that. But
Yeah,
every day, at least 3, 4 times a week, we were meeting to do these type of things. And on those Thursday mornings, that's when the rookies would come in. We'd have these conversations, and then it's like when they finally get back and they finally get their uniforms on. We've already formed some type of a bond with them, and they know like, hey, if anything's ever going on the block, and I feel like I'm being overwhelmed. I have somebody here that can help me understand better. You know, there's
yeah.
been plenty of times I've been in that situation where the rookie couldn't control the block or it was too much going on and they were becoming overwhelmed and I had to come up and be like, hey sis, hey bro, maybe you should take this approach. Maybe you should, figure things out this way, because, we're men too. Nobody likes to just be yelled at. Nobody likes
People.
to be
Yeah,
disrespected. We're people too. And sometimes the approach and no disrespect to the DOC or how they train, but sometimes I feel like they take the humanity out of the situation,
yeah. They
They take
forget
the
it.
compassion.
They I used to watch them when they started, like try to study that psychology, and I watched the ones that started, and it took about a year for them to get what I call burnt out or like conformed. I don't know if it was their peers, their staffs, or even if it was us that just like burnt them out to a point that they became desensitized to us and they started to look at us as we weren't people because the other guards did it. You know what I mean? Their peers would treat us like animals. They saw that and that relationship then became the normal to them. They forgot that
Mhm.
we were humans.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. 1000%. It's like prison is interested, right? Not just as an inmate, but it is on the COs. You know how many COs sat there and told me they felt like they were in prison with us? Now,
Yeah.
as interesting and as ridiculous that sounds, right? They were there. They were there literally 24. A lot of COs pulling 16-hour shifts, coming home for 8 hours and coming back 16 hours. They were there with us, And some of them weren't bad. Some of them really did care. And if
Yeah.
you have a heart, being a CEO's probably got to be one of the hardest things in the world when you have a heart and you actually generally care about the population and some of the individuals in the prison. But like I said, if some CEOs could just realize, the compassion thing, just have a compassion and understanding of the situation. I feel like for so long, you know, the training, the training of what a CEO should and shouldn't do in certain situations,
That's
I feel
important.
like
Yeah, the
it is
training.
important. And we talk about all the time. Well, I see it on the news all the time with the cops and how they supposed to deal with certain situations. There needs to be more up to date training about how they deal with the elements of certain individuals. Like here, like in the prisons, as you may know, CPS comes around and comes and speaks to like to the inmate and the population when certain things are going on. Now by then they probably have been, speedballed to the hole or something. But
Yeah.
CPS usually comes, if not before, then most likely afterwards. I feel like with the cops, there should be a CPS guy, certified peer specialist, riding around in the cars with them, you know?
I think they should have annual training because I think they lose that touch with humility. I tried to start something with the middle school in my town because I pick up my nephew from middle school and I seen there's a heavy police presence like on every block after school. Like they stand out their car and watch the kids go because there's been so many assaults and fights and that I felt. I mean, they have their guns unholstered. It's
Wow.
the environment. I don't know how it is up where you're at, but that's horrible to see. And they don't.
Especially all those kids just walking outside to see that.
It's like they're grooming them for prison. At least the way it looks. And my school, I went to my high school at the beginning of this year, and they redid it. And there's it's a bubble basically. You have to check into a bubble before you can get into the door on the inside. If you've seen it, you would think this is prison.
Wow.
It was scary.
Yes. And like you said, that's grooming them. That's grooming these kids basically for prison life,
Yeah.
you know, or to naturally despise or dislike authority, you know,
The program that Matt started, the what was it called?
the real rap.
Real Rap. When was that started?
So I would like to say that it started, I want to say, I came into the program 2023-ish. He was doing it probably before that. So I want to say like beginning 2023, 2022. But when COVID came around, it kind of messed everything up. I think this was something that he was already doing way before that, like 2018 and stuff like that, 2019. But it got picked back up 2022, 2023-ish. And, you know,
Yeah,
it was
it's
all,
been going on for quite a few years then, before
yeah, it's
COVID. Because
exactly.
there's been a lot of people coming out that have spoke on that and have used the tools, the skills that they developed there. I mean, I've been suggesting it to other prisons too to develop something like that. A lot of prisons, though, in the middle of the state, they're ran by a different type of person as opposed to Chester. That's Chester County, right? Near the
Yeah, this
city.
is
Yeah.
Chester, SCI Chester.
See, those the people that work there are familiar with the people who are coming in, basically, because the people that are really going into the prisons heavy are the ones from the city, it seems, especially like Philadelphia. Like they just their whole thing is just lock them up. You know, they don't even care or worry about the trial phase. They just put them in. It's not
Yeah.
it's not cattle that's coming through there. And I mean, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but those people in the rural parts of Pennsylvania aren't familiar with every type of person, every type of personality. You know?
I think, and when you honestly think about it, right, the program within itself, right, the real rap program, it is such a unique situation. I don't know how much you know about it, right? But like I said, we meet up 4 times a week: Monday mornings, Monday afternoon, Wednesday nights, and then Thursday mornings, right? It is something so different that I've ever experienced in my 5 years in prison, because when we get together, we're talking about a bunch of men. We're talking about lifers. We're talking about murderers. We're talking about people who literally have more time than maybe you and me have on this earth, you know, getting together, preaching about decorum, talking about what men perceive as respect versus what women perceive as disrespect. We're talking about, what financial ingenuity. We're sitting there talking about Ashada Shakur and, Black history. And we're also talking about, what is a false sense, what is the a false idea of what a male masculinity is supposed to look like. We're having these type of talks, and there's no COs in there with us. It's just us. This big room of all these powerful and influential minds getting together, and there's no COs in there other than when the training people come in and they're coming in to attend the class, not to watch over us, not no cameras staring down and they're looking like, all right, what those guys doing? That's not something they do in other prisons.
Yeah.
Like there's always somebody watching. There's always somebody trying to figure out what's going on and controlling the atmosphere of the room. This is something that Matthew Garcia has created, and he literally runs by himself. You
That's
know
great. That's great. And that's important too.
exactly.
And obviously it's making a difference because I can see it. Like the people who've gotten out from that program, because they'll make posts. I don't know if you've seen Matt's Instagram,
Yes, I have.
but they make the post and they're going in, they've gotten a new job. no other prison has done anything like that, and I've never seen any other, I mean, ex-convict come out and do something like that. The ones that I knew that I'm familiar with, I'm friends with them, and they're back in prison, unfortunately. And I think, dang, what could they have done differently? What could have been the catalyst to change their mentality? And it's the programming. The prisons that we were in didn't have any sort of system or program that could have that gave them the tools. We had TC, and I don't know if you've ever been in a
I did
TC
TC at
program.
Chester. I've done it before.
All
Was
right,
head
then
of
you know
house twice.
it was ran by the staff was basically a CO, and I remember the psychologist there was a CO. I was there when she became a psychologist. Like I said, didn't you have to go to school for this? And she says they did a training. And I mean, needless to say, we got nothing from it. Nothing. Damn.
Yeah. When I sit here and think about my time in TC, I can't ever compare anything I learned in there to what we was doing in real rap. I can't ever say nothing. Like it was no comparison. Literally, I did TC. You as you know, TC for when I did it was 4 months straight, intensive groups every day. I go to real rap maybe twice or three times a week myself because of the other responsibilities I had in the jail. And I learned more in a 2 hour class with Matt and my brothers in there, than I did in any TC class. So it just comes to show like mentorship, it is received a lot differently when it comes from somebody who's been through what you've been through.
Yeah.
How many times have you probably been in that TC group and one of them are facilitating a group, one of the psychologists or the COs or wherever, and they're just giving a take or they're just giving a message that doesn't resonate or doesn't relate to us because it doesn't relate to what we are going on through as young men in society today in 2025. Like some of that material just isn't going to be relatable to certain
Not
people.
relatable at all. Uh, our teacher was the head of it was this lady, Miss Williams, and she had some sort of like vendetta or something against convicts or inmates, but she liked to be condescending. The one time she was talking about DNA testing and taking care of their children, and or somebody brought the story up of their child and getting out and taking care of them, and she brought up DNA testing. She said you might want to get that child tested for DNA because a lot of people, especially doing drugs, they didn't have children or they couldn't have children. So a lot of you guys may think the child is yours, but it really isn't. Like, who wants to hear that in
In
prison?
prison. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was
That's crazy.
some of the things she said was
You know what's
very
interesting,
bad.
right? It's interesting about that because I wonder. I'm kind of like thinking about these things right now as I go through my own personal things coming home. I wonder that conversation about individuals that we love and we care about. Because what she said, as fucked up as it was, I apologize for my language, but as messed up as it was, you know, how many of us really are going through, some similar situations where the people we love and care about who are there for us will lie to us to just make us happy while we're incarcerated, you know? Would you,
Yeah.
and it brings me to a question that I've been having for the last few days. Would you rather have somebody be honest with you about what's really going on out there in the world and letting you mentally prepare for that as you transition into the world, but the stress is gonna eat you up. In prison, you have nothing but your thoughts. So it's gonna eat you up, it's gonna get to you, and you're just gonna be going through it. Or would you rather be sugarcoated all the way to the end and then it all just hits you the moment that you leave?
Yeah, the moment you get out. I'm going to say with that, every individual is different. With 5 years, that's almost in between the short timer and long termer thing. I always viewed the long term person as being over 7.5 because that's sort of where I hit my epiphany. When I hit 7.5 years, I was a little different. But when I hit 5 years, I remember being changed too. And the outlook on the world is different at my first few years, I don't think I could have handled something like that. So if somebody told me, I don't have children, but if somebody told me, that child may not be yours, I don't think I could have handled that. Um, the mentorship is with when the teacher has the same ideas as you or has been through the same things as you, like Matt and the other facilitators with the real rap. they've had that time to sit in their cell. Unfortunately, they have years of actual thought. The brightest
Yup,
minds are in prison
they are. I agree, one
because
thousand
all they do
percent.
is think. I spent nearly 2 years in solitary. That's where I came up with a lot of my greatest ideas, just in thought. And I had no resources, but just thought. So,
I agree.
yeah,
I think it's interesting, right? Because me myself, I've done some whole time myself, a year. And that year I did in the whole might have been the fastest time in my entire bid because all I did was read and study and, get my mind right. I think that's what I naturally grew into the man that I am today. And it just enhanced the mindset that I already had of what I wanted to do. It reinforced a lot of things for me. And when we talk about mentorship, right? Like we said, relatability is everything, but it's also experience. I'm not gonna ask a milkman how I should deliver mail. You get what I'm saying? I'm not gonna ask a lion tamer how I should train the turtles. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's like that. So if I'm a street dude, right? If I'm in the streets and I'm looking for some way to get out, or I'm looking for some way to see that there's a different route. If I've been through poverty, if I've been through deaths of my homies and my family and whatever, if I've been through jails and I've been through all this, I'm not gonna want to listen, no offense to, some college graduate who went to school to learn what I do, of what I've been through or
Well,
how to deal with someone.
came up through an affluent background. I mean, there are some people who came from the hood who went to college, but it's that background because I've talked to people who are in college who came from the hood and they can't even identify or relate to their peers in there. And
And what's that saying? That's saying a lot.
man,
You lived in the same neighborhood as me. We grew up on the same block. We went to the same Chinese store. But my story and your story are completely different. And
man,
that's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, wanting better for yourself. But some of us we get stuck in that trap. That's why they call it the trap, because it's a trap. There's no,
yeah,
you know,
the
that's
cycle. It's a mentality thing, and that's I realized 7.5 years. I know I realized 5 years. Then I used to tell my friends in there, I'm not ready to go home. I mean, I would say it's something stupid like, "Well, I wish I was ready to go home," and they would always yell at me, "Man, what the hell are you talking about? You ain't ready to go home." I said, I know if they were to release me now, there's a good chance I'd be coming back. What did I change? I don't remember changing anything. And I started a store in there. The store turned into drugs. Then that's when it hit me. The unit manager came up to me because I gave a hot urine for cocaine after they put in those body scanners. They put me on cell restriction, and that's when it hit me like, my God, I went right back to the same old me. It's
right.
a mentality thing. I thought doing the store thing I would still be okay because I didn't think it was illicit. I thought I was helping out people, but the drug thing, I went right back to my old way by just thinking I was doing something right. And that's when I started to look at the mentality of things. If you think of it's okay to break one law, then why not break any law? And I brought that with me out here. I'll wear my seatbelt. And this, I do the speed limit just because I'm afraid to break any law because it might lead me to another law. The
Mm.
mentality thing.
I think, and it's crazy because, as we having this conversation about, these epiphanies that we have, what you said, you just hit it right on the nose about at one point in time, I said I wasn't ready, and the people around me saying that I'm crazy. I had that same moment. Mine's was a little earlier, maybe because I knew I was getting out. There's the possibility of me getting out on my 5th year, so I had maybe of like more of
You
a
fast
sped up
tracked
process.
yourself.
Yeah, I fast tracked myself because I realized time was running out to get my life together, and it was probably my 4th year, the beginning of my 4th year. I said I'm not ready, or like the halfway through my third, I said I'm not ready yet. And this was maybe like between that TC time. And my guys were like, "What do you mean? So freedom comes right now?" You would say no. I'm like, I wouldn't say no, but
Right.
I know I'm not. I know I'm not ready. I know that if I was to go out there right now, I don't have all the tools that I need to be the best version of myself. And every day I strive to do that. Like, I don't know if you've seen on Matt's page my standing out essay that I wrote right before I left. And it really entails
The,
my whole story of how I went about my incarceration the moment after I got sentenced, right? And What I've realized, right? Not just in prison, right? But just in a whole, if I wanted different results, I had to do something different. They said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. What I was doing up until that point in my life wasn't working. What I was sitting there seeing was that I had to be different. I had to stand out. And what did that mean? That mean instead of just taking the programs for the sake of a certificate, I had to sit to the front of the class. I had to take notes. I had to go back, talk about this stuff with my family and see what they thought and had meaningful dialogue and conversation about it. That means taking down the professor who's coming in or the guest speaker, taking down their information and networking with them to see what opportunities may be available to me or resources upon my release. These are things I was thinking about 2 years before I even got the green light, you know? And
Wow.
with all that being said, and with the tutelage of Matthew Garcia up to this point of my life, you know, it literally prepared me for everything I've dealt with post incarcerations a week ago. I just got out a week. It's been 7 days. And in 7 days, I've got my driver's license renewed. I've been to multiple internships, got all of them. I already have a job waiting upon paperwork being signed, doing a delivery car service out in Sharon Hill. I'm going to be speaking with the youth at diversion programs. So before they get that, this is basically like their last chance stop before going to like placement or something like that. I get
Wow.
to share my experiences with them and help them, and maybe my experience and my story can help them. These are all different things that, and then of course the Real Rap Youth Liaison opportunity that Matthew was giving to me, that now I can take Real Rap and be a part of it, and have a leadership role and then take this out into the community. And then I have this opportunity to come and speak on these podcasts with people like you, Marcus, and other people who want the change, but we just need a voice. I
A
just was
voice.
saying that the other day. We love the money on our books, right? We love the visits, we love the attention, the answering the phone calls. It's all appreciative. But if we want to get guys home, right, there's more that we can do. So what does that mean? That means we have to stand out. And I tell bro, and bro told me that we got to stand out. And once that became my mantra, that just because I got on Browns and you got on Browns, don't mean you and me are the same, you know? But the CEOs are gonna look at us that way. The guest speakers are gonna look at us that way if we don't take the opportunities given to us and choose to stand out. If I didn't want to stand out, then you know what I'd have did? I'd have played basketball all day and I would have played the phone all day and played chess all day or worked out. But that wasn't,
Exactly.
I
That's
can do all that now.
yeah. Save that for when you get home. That's
Exactly. I'm getting it
Khalil.
now.
We got like 2 minutes until you gotta go see your PO. We can do this again if you want. Later on in the week.
I would love to continue this. Love to continue this conversation.
That I didn't realize you was that fresh out. A week.
A week.
I mean, it's hard to stay on track. I know the first couple weeks is you have an idea. For me though, I sort of went through like a depression and like PTSD, but my background is a little different and a little odd. With what you've learned, those tools, those skills from the Real Rap program, I sort of want to like follow it along and like show other people, because if there's a blueprint for reform, for change, and for us, then it should be documented.
It should
You know what I
be.
mean?
It should be. And I would love to continue to have that conversation. At the end of the day, what do they say? If you got the game, you feel me? Share it. Don't keep it for
Right.
yourself. Share it. At the end of the day, I had to want it, and I had to want it not just for myself, but for my family and the people around me. You feel me? And Matt, that's something Matt taught me. Matt
Yeah.
is literally going through fighting for his life every day, but he was selfless enough to help the people around him, help people like me, some young kid that got booked for killing somebody. You feel me? Just trying to figure himself out, and you take the time out your life to help me figure out life.
Matt
And
always puts people before himself. I was trying to get him on here, and he's telling me, here, do this guy, talk to this guy first. He's very selfless. He always thinks of other people first. And
that's why
he
I
would
know
be
that
an
good.
asset out here. That's the type of people we need to be looking at on allowing to get out, whether it's even if it's commutation, if it's not through one of these bills or these acts, at least commutation. The commutation board should be looking at these people like Matt.
The man has over 30 years, and then that's a whole nother conversation about
Yeah, didn't even. Yeah,
what what
yeah.
what 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 is considered what is considered, unconstitutional, like, are you I'm not even the same person I was 5 years ago. You telling me that this man is still the same person he was 30
He didn't
years and some
kill
change
anybody.
ago? And he didn't even do anything,
Yeah,
you know?
the
Like,
second degree murder. That's he was with
without
somebody
no
who killed
gun,
somebody.
no weapon, just off the word of somebody else. It's a travesty. But that's why there's people like me out here. There's people like you out here, Marcus, and the beautiful things that you're doing. And I just want you to know I am super excited to be a part of this. And yes, we can continue this conversation a million
All
times
right.
over. And you
Yeah.
know what? This is just the beginning. It's the beginning for everything that people like us have been through. We got to be the voice.
If
We're going
you
to
ever
stand
feel
out.
like you're slipping or losing traction, man, you have my number. Call me.
I'll be amazing.
That's
I
yeah.
got to get up out of here,
All
man.
right,
This was
Khalil.
amazing.
It's nice
Be
talking
in
to you. Nice
touch.
meeting you.
It's nice meeting you as well.
All right.
Can't wait to finish this another time.
Likewise.
All right, it's your boy Saint back again. But now we with the real rap gang, you feel me? Got my boy doing his thing, your man, and we carrying it, you feel me? This is what standing out do. Look, resource severe, whole city out here. It's a little light now, it was just packed wall to wall. It was just packed wall to wall. And the boys got their own booth. We got our own booth. And we giving out advice, and we helping the people, we helping the men, and we spreading the room. We spreading of what's going on inside the prisons, but not also we're spreading advice about, how reentry works and what it looks like for some formerly incarcerated individuals to come home to. So we're working non-stop. And it started in that real rat room. So once again, you know what I'm gonna say. Free Matthew Garcia, free my brother 40 Cal, aka Khalil, free Rock Q, free the whole mob, man. We coming. And free JR the General.